You know, it's one of the lost arts in our sport these days. These guys are just putting muscle on. You know, take a bunch of drugs and lift some weights and get big. Well, you know, any turkey can do that. You know, don't be a turkey.
How does your chest feel now?
Oh, it's burning. It's pumped. It's one of the things about this type of routine when you switch over. I mean, it starts bringing out vascularity, leanness. You really just, it brings on a whole different quality to your muscles. One of the key factors of when I was winning competitions and stuff, you know, competing in the Nationals and the Mr. Universe and stuff, one of the advantages that the top guys had, you know, was that extra attention to bring out the details and the hardness. So, you know, this is something, muscle density, that takes time, it takes exercise sequence to build it up. And I really have to thank Scott Abel. I mean, he was one of the premier coaches in the world that actually identified how you could actually build that kind of crazy density that was usually only achieved for maybe 15 or 20 years. A lot of it just had to do with the style of training that you do, and that's what we incorporated in Endless Growth, is some of that density building training. So your muscles don't just look big, they look really hard and full. So let's get back to it again. You know, let's keep that pump going.
I find it's a great idea. Sometimes to use a timer on your watch, especially if you're used to talking a lot. You know, putting a timer for about a minute or so is enough time for you to recover and go to the next set. So if you find that your workouts are taking too long, then consider using a timer on your watch.
Yeah, the other factor to think about that too is intensity. The more intense your workouts are, the more oxygen that you're going to go, and that's where you're really going to have to concentrate on doing the extra breathing, the double inhale. You know, when I started taking up meditation, you know, it really brought up a lot of awareness about the power of breathing and how much it could actually affect my athletic endeavors. And it was certainly no accident that after I started taking yoga, meditation, breathing, that in just 2 years I bumped up and went to the World Championships. And I really felt that that mental side, the breathing part, the connection with your body through breathing really helps. So don't underestimate it. Don't worry if someone thinks you look foolish because you're sitting in the gym going, right? Don't worry about it, but you'll be the one laughing in the end when you're standing on stage with the gold. Okay, last round of these. Really gonna stretch them out. Keep the hands facing each other, Chip. It's another key component. Bend the elbows too. Take the pressure off the shoulder and elbow joint. But only on the way down, just like a bear hug. All right, and then back on the rack, and then we're gonna go off to the next set and get started on that one to keep the growth going. Well, in the Endless Growth workouts, the pace changes a little bit. Number one, we're going to be only training one body part per session. And so the pace is relatively fast. There's enough rest in between the sets to go to the next one, about a 90% oxygen recovery. But it's relatively intense and focused on one particular muscle group in order to build the density, quality, and definition that you want to achieve to make that rock hard, ultra dense look. So the pace is quite sustained and very focused on one particular body part. decline barbell, we've done incline presses, and then we've done flat flies, and so the chest is really toast. Now we're going to go back to a compound movement, and what we're going to do is use the ancillary muscles like the triceps and front delts to push the chest deeper into the fatigue zone, so get those deep down fibers that we haven't hit before. And again, the rep ranges in this sequence have been going up all along, so now it gets really metabolically demanding, so we're really screaming for oxygen by the end of these reps. So get ready. Again, pick a grip that suits you. And everybody has a little different grip they're moving more in. So find what works for you. Okay? And go for it. Now you'll notice today I'm bench pressing a little different because I'm not benching from power. I got the bench. It's coming a little higher up in my chest.
One thing that's worth talking about is if you're doing bench as your fourth exercise, don't expect to bench the same amount of weight as you would as if you're doing your first exercise, because obviously you're in a different place on the fatigue scale.
Absolutely. Really, if you're doing this exercise sequence properly, you're going to be at maybe 50% of what your normal weights would be on this set, so that's a kind of a good gauge. Everyone's a little different on how they go up in their rep range, but somewhere around 50-60% is where you'd be maybe 4 exercises in to what your weights would be. And once again, it's all about the concentration level that you're putting into your exercise. It's not about how much weight, although weight is part of it. The real focus needs to be on the intensity you're generating with each and every rep. So what's the intention behind the rep? The other thing I want to point out, in the earlier sequences, we were concentrating on the first couple exercises in very explosive type movements. Now we're switching into kind of continuously tension or pumping movements, okay? That way it's kind of rhythmic. So these are the little nuances of cadence that you get to pick up over time. Factor in this, pump them up, take a little rest, breathe, and then crank out another 2. And there you have it, that's what you do to extend the set. Now, I'm not going to failure where I'm all wobbling and all that sort of stuff. I take it up, I notice a force decrement, I pause for a couple seconds, lock out position, take a couple deep breaths, you know, blow it out, get the toxins out of the system, get the lactic acid out, and then crank out another rep or another rep. And as you get more and more advanced, and as you get used to this, you can start really turning up the pressure each and every workout, especially if you have a partner there to push you, so that you can really hit those days where you're really blowing out those chests and getting past the kind of built-in safety nets that your nervous system has to push out a few more reps. And so you'll see some of these guys that's been training for 20-25 years. I mean, they get so much out of one set. You know, intensity is a very misunderstood terminology, and in fact, most people don't realize it's a learned behavior. You don't come into the gym and train intense. You're training intense relative to the capacity of the nervous system. But building up that intensity level over time, that's where the training comes in. That takes time, it takes effort, and there's no getting around it, and that's part of learning how to train smart and getting the right advice. So, fortunately, if you're watching this, you're getting the right advice.